Montana's on fire. And no, I'm not talking about the real estate market. Montana's literally burning. And in this video, we're going to talk about the realities of living in Montana and dealing with wildfires. If you're going to live in Montana, forest fires are something that you need to be aware of. Every single year, some part of Montana is burning. And that's just the reality of living here. We have lots of forests, we have lots of wilderness, and that means we're going to have forest fires every single year. Whether it's man-made or from a lightning strike, there's going to be a fire somewhere. Luckily, most of the time it doesn't affect you directly. So I've lived in Montana my whole life. I've never had to evacuate, but then again, I've also mostly lived in the city. So living in the city, you're going to be at a lot less risk of forest fires. But if you're on the outskirts, if you're on some acreage and you're surrounded by the forest, well, obviously you're at a higher risk of that. Last year, fire did strike pretty close to home as our Bridger Mountains were burning here in Bozeman, but most of the time it's spread out all over the state and it doesn't directly affect you other than the smoke. So let's look at some of the current fires that are happening around the state. You have the Trail Creek fire, which is 40 miles southeast of Hamilton, and that's approaching 20,000 acres. The Alder Creek fire, it's 19 miles southwest of Butte, and that just went over 4,000 acres. You have the Musselshell Trail Road fire northeast of Billings, that's over 22,000 acres. And the Robertson Draw fire east of Cook City, it's on the Wyoming border, that's approaching 30,000 acres burned. And that one was caused by people. So you need to be aware that there's going to be fires all over the state. There was a big one outside of Red Lodge earlier that displaced a lot of people and burned several structures. All of these fires in Montana are just something that you have to deal with. You never really get used to it. And a big reason why we live in Montana is to enjoy our mountains, but right now you can barely even see them. It's just smoke. And you get a little bit of the ridgeline in the distance sometimes. Sometimes they completely disappear. In addition to our own fires, there's several other fires in the region that are just pouring smoke into Montana. The Snake River Complex fire south of Lewiston, Idaho is over 103,000 acres and is dumping smoke into Montana. Areas like Missoula are just covered in smoke from both local fires and regional fires. And it's just surreal that when you walk outside the mountain that you're used to seeing, you just can't even see it. It's just gray. You can't see through all the smoke. And that really is dangerous, and it creates an air quality that isn't healthy to breathe in. So you don't want to be outside for extended amounts of time. Right now where I'm at in Bozeman, we can just barely see the mountains through the smoke, and it's an unhealthy level. It's not dangerous yet, but it's something that you need to be aware of if you have asthma or other lung conditions, that maybe being outside for an extended period of time isn't the best choice. So in order to combat these fires, our Governor Greg Gianforte, he just issued executive orders declaring a statewide drought emergency as well as a wildfire emergency. Now these emergency orders make it so that all of the state government resources are available to mitigate the impacts of the drought and the fires in the area and to protect the people that live here in Montana. As of mid-July, more than 1,400 wildfires have burned over 220 square miles in Montana. Now, 80% of those, this is the sad part, were caused by people. And it's not always carelessness. Sometimes a campfire will get out of control, or I saw a fire the other day that started by the chain on somebody's tow vehicle just sparking off the concrete. So you need to be careful in Montana when you're living here, and if you're just passing through our state even. You know, if you flick a cigarette butt out your window as you're driving down the highway, you might not think anything of it, but that could burn down an entire mountain. That could ruin people's homes and kill off wildlife. So you just need to be careful. It's not worth the risk. And right now we have fire restrictions across the state, and some are more restricted than others depending on where you're at in the area. But if you're visiting here or if you live here and are out camping, just be aware of the fire restrictions. You might not be able to have a campfire certain times of the year. And you just need to be careful, because if you burn down our mountains, well, that sucks. So don't do it. If you have any questions about the forest fires in Montana, or if you've been personally affected, leave that in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, and remember, only you can prevent forest fires.